What's up, you guys, and welcome back to school. But don't worry, everything is cool. I'm your host, Julyssa, and of course, I am here with the boys, Steve and Brennan. Say what's up, you guys.
What's up?
And how y'all doing today?
I could do better. Our earphones have blown out, guys. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
You can't see on the camera, but I swear to God, there's a suspiciously dead fly under the microphone ports. I mean the headphone ports. My theory is it flew into some opening, electrocuted itself, and it fucked up the
you know what's crazy is that I really don't like. It's almost weirder to have the one ear on than the full. Actually, it's not a weird. Of course, that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just odd.
Yeah, but that's might need to get a new setup, guys.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
It is what it is, but
yeah,
we
but
persevere.
But I had to be honest and answer that question with my chest, Julie.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
You're hurt.
I'm sad.
That's not a fly, it's a government drone.
Oh, it's because we were talking too much about the anti-government.
Yeah, we were being anti-America or
Maybe
whatever.
anti-establishment or something.
Yeah.
They sent a fly.
They sent a fly.
A suicide fly.
Yeah.
They said, "Oh no, that's pigeons." No, they
Yeah,
say
they try to
pigeons
do
are
it.
real.
Yeah.
How would you feel if I moved to that fly right now and it fixed everything?
I would be like, wow, I'm a genius.
You'd be like, I need a.
It could be the energy. If it's a government sent like insect,
It's like
maybe
a
it
chip.
is. Maybe it
It's
is
it's like trying to
messing around with.
maybe. I'm telling you, don't flies. I'm not even saying this to be funny. Don't they have they follow the electromagnetic fields of the earth? Like animals do that. So I'm thinking because the electricity is coming off from that thing, it was like, oh.
Julie, fact check that
and
for
it
me.
flew into it and it short circuited the whole thing.
You know what? Sure.
Haven't you seen where people will try to go and fix computers and be like, my computer work, and they'll find a dead mouse that was chewing on the wires?
So that's the fly.
I'm just saying it's not. It sounds funny, but I wouldn't put it past it being a possibility.
You sound like Walter White when he has that obsession with that fly.
Yeah.
You're gonna start seeing it in light bulbs.
I gotta fact check. Can flies
Can't be spreading misinformation on the pod.
Can flies sense electricity? No. Yes, flies can sense static electric fields, and this ability can influence their behavior. Yeah, there you go.
Guys, thoughts? Is he valid? Did a fly just ruin our podcast?
It's literally right under. I can't imagine how you can't
Cut
see
to it. Put like a picture of what it looks like.
You can't
take
see
a picture.
it, but I'll put it. But it's
Can y'all
literally.
didn't move it?
I don't want to touch it. Germaphobe.
We can get him a napkin.
Go grab a napkin. Do it.
No,
Sarah.
we're recording
All
right
right,
now. We're
fine.
recording right now. We can't.
I'll take a picture and I'll
But
put
it's
it.
funny because their headphones are messed up.
And
Like,
now-
Oh yeah, Julie sounds.
I'm the only one who sounds like normal.
Yeah.
Like I can
Why? I don't
hear
understand.
it sounds very normal.
Even the
All
one
the
we
other
use,
ones,
yeah.
even the other one that
It's for
hardly gets
guests.
used.
Yeah. The one that we use for guests, it doesn't work either. So I'm like,
maybe it's that side of the room.
but they always sit with you.
Yeah,
Whatever.
maybe.
I guess we'll figure it out some other time.
Maybe
but,
it's one of the bobbleheads. Is there anything magnetic in there? Like anything metal?
but why would it react now?
Well,
Of
they're
all
closer.
days.
They got closer.
I mean, that day the only one that I put was the Shohei one.
Yeah, she added one. Maybe that one has something magnetic.
Did you see me kicking it to hope it would work?
Did
Any-
you? Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and move on to the
Yeah.
show, guys. So I wanted to start off this podcast with this tremendous idea and this trend that's going viral right now. That's basically just on board. Like, what's your most unpopular
Yeah,
opinions?
I seen that.
But they did one Latino Latine edition. Shout out to Diego, who was on the pod. Check out his episode. He said a lot of informative stuff. So shout out to Diego, and check out, he has a podcast too called Kyle Way. So check it out. He put it up. It got a few thousand views, and I'm gonna go ahead and read out some of these to you guys and see what you guys think.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. We believe in La Llorona, El Cucuy, but not in anxiety, postpartum depression, or any depression. Thoughts?
Real.
Based? Real?
Real.
Yeah.
Thoughts? You believe?
Yeah.
You think that's true?
I do. I could have swore I heard her once, bro. Not even kidding.
Well,
I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding, bro.
I was gonna move on and then you dropped that bar. Really?
I was sleeping once and I heard some chick like an older, sounded like an older woman, just like crying, and I was like,
It's like his mom.
no, it sounded like it was in the street because where I sleep is right next to the window, so you can hear like the echoes of the street, and I was like, it sounds super far away, and I got up and I was looking around, I was like, I don't see anybody, because like if you hear somebody in the street being like, "Ah," I was like, damn, maybe somebody got hit by a car.
No, I
didn't
get
see
you.
anybody. And then I told my partner, and she was like, they say when she sounds far away, she's actually really nearby. And so I was like, don't tell me that.
Was she trying to take you or what? What
I
did
don't
you
know.
do?
Yeah, what'd you do, bro? What'd you try
I
to?
know.
Is she a bad omen? Like, what is she supposed to do?
I guess like what does it mean when she appears?
I didn't even know she was in my neck of the woods, bro. I don't live by any
I
river.
know, you're like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Maybe Burbank used to be a river.
Yeah. There's
Ooh,
a
I
river
just-
there.
Censor that, actually.
I mean, it's a fucking little giant ass.
They're not gonna find you.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Should I be more specific? I don't
No.
think they're gonna find you at. and
Come
then
on
bleep-
now. They'll read your lips.
And then,
Yeah. The
okay,
Llorona, El
sure.
Cucuy.
Should I move to the next one?
Yeah.
Do you believe in La Llorona?
No.
Oh,
What is she supposed to do? Is she just like an urban legend, like Bigfoot?
does
I
she
don't
kill
know.
people?
I think she like
she wants
haunts.
kids?
I thought it was. I
Yeah,
always thought
regular
it was
now.
just she haunts kids.
Oh.
Oh,
my,
so
my youthful spirit.
yeah, she confused.
She was like, "Oh, my fault. I thought you."
It's funny. I looked up does La Llorona, and the first option is does La Llorona kill adults?
Oh, what does it say?
What is that?
It says
Yes.
No.
she says that she only attacks children or cheating husbands.
Damn.
Hey, come on now. That didn't happen.
Wait, what was it? Cheating husbands and what?
It says children and cheating husbands.
Brendan.
I'm neither of those. I'm loyal and I'm no longer a child.
You're cheating.
Oh, brother.
It says hearing her cries is considered a sign of misfortune or impending danger.
Maybe. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Did something happen to you after?
No,
Would you be more pissed that she's confused you? You're like, I'm not a kid.
like I'm innocent.
Nor do
though.
I cheat.
You got the wrong guy. She got the wrong
Brandon?
address. Yeah.
Hit the wrong address.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. This one I actually think might be the most liked. This one has 12,000 likes.
Oh shit.
It says, we don't prioritize education enough. Real? I think that's real.
I think that's just everybody though. I think
Oh,
that's-
it
I
does,
don't
it's
even
not
think
like a
that's-
specific Latino thing?
Yeah, I think
Mm.
nobody. I think we live in an age of anti-intellectualism right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's a damn shame.
I feel like there's some cultures who prioritize education though.
Yeah,
No?
that's true. Probably.
True. I think that's true. Yeah.
I feel like the Latino community sometimes does tend to sway more like the working,
Yeah.
the work
Oh,
life.
yeah. Like, just work, don't go
Yeah.
to school.
I
you know
will
what?
say I
There's some
don't.
truth.
If there is some truth to it, I don't think it's the Latino community's fault. I feel like
Yeah.
we live in an oppressive society that doesn't value education on purpose.
Yeah.
Like you can see it right now.
I mean, we live
True.
in a society that really tells
We
you
live
you
in
need to grind
Yeah,
mostly.
We live in a society. No, for
We
sure.
do.
I think there's also this lie sold to people that, like, if you just grind and basically waste all your time trying to make money, you're gonna be rich someday, but statistically not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's like lottery tickets. Like, yes, in theory, if you buy a lottery ticket, you have a higher chance than somebody who doesn't. But
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that it's a close chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No,
that's the
100%.
way I see it. Where it's like, yeah, maybe there's one person out of the 8 billion on this planet who worked really hard, and I don't think that's true. Worked really hard and got really rich, but 1 in 8 billion chance. Come on now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the next one. Latinos seem to rely on religion too much that it becomes a detriment when people are going through a mental health crisis. Often, I've been a victim of being told to just go to church whenever I've suffered through something mental health wise.
Oh, for sure. I think, but again, I think there's a long history of that.
Mhm.
Like, but like I'm not even saying that like you're tripping. Like I just think in general there's a long history of that. Like in the the 30s and 40s, if you had something you were like possessed or something was
Yeah.
going on with you. Not at the 30s and 40s, but like what do they say? Like anxiety and stuff was just hysteria, or like they didn't
Mhm.
have any, or they just put you away, or certain things, or they recommend a lobotomization, or
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think just mental health in general, and and religions aren't really a good mix.
Mhm.
I don't think they are. Because I think, I mean, I'm not an expert, so don't quote me. But I do think that that's how people end up in like some sort of religious psychosis,
Mhm.
you know, where
Mhm.
it's like, oh, the answer is Christ or
Yeah.
No, I
whatever it
get
is you believe.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, that's like giving it to somebody vulnerable who
Mhm.
like, I think you have to be in a very good state of mind, like a stable state of mind to handle that kind of thing responsibly, you know?
Yeah.
Do you agree, Julie?
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah. I feel like what Brandon is saying is really good points, and I agree that it is just. I mean, I kept thinking about the movie The Exorcist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how, like, people just said that, like, back then it was just more they were discovering, like,
Yeah.
like mental illnesses and diseases and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, people were like, no, they're being, like, possessed.
No,
by
yeah.
somebody.
Well, because it wasn't, rest in peace and forgive me because I don't remember his name, but the first person to be diagnosed with autism passed away like a year ago.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And so, which goes to show you.
That's
and
crazy.
And that doesn't mean that autism just spawned out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's just we didn't diagnose it or have a name for it
Yeah.
until very recently. So you can only imagine, like, before that became like an available diagnosis to people, how that was treated. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And there's lots of stuff like that. And I'm sure in the future there's going to be different mental health issues or conditions that people may fall under that we just didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
So I think base take, but I do think it's more like it's a worldwide thing. I think just in general, there's been for some reason, that's just the way we treated mental health.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. You see what's funny about reading some of these? It does make me think, like, is this a Latino thing or is this just like in general a bad thing in just life?
I just think no. I mean, like that's what I think when I hear about these things. I'm like, I do think it is a Latino experience, right? But
Mhm.
but I think it's also a world experience. It just looks a little different in the Latino
For sure.
world. You know what I mean?
I'm sure it's more, yeah, like I'm sure based on cultures, it's just it's probably there in many cultures, but it's strong, like it makes its
Or-
presence more known
or
in
it's
art.
expressed differently.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
a way that's
and
more relatable.
Yeah,
That,
because this one. So I'm gonna just go off and read you all the ones.
yeah.
Um, the that was the top one I told you about the education. The second was letting, they say PDF files. You guys know.
Oh,
get it?
yeah.
Letting PDF files.
Mhm.
And weird uncles, aunts around the kids. That one's the second most liked. So I don't know. I mean,
I mean, like, I think in general, there's a long history of that. Because
Yeah.
remember, not that long ago, there was a TikTok trend of people saying like, but I just remember the people who were talking about weren't Latinos. Maybe there's some of them were. I just didn't know. But they were talking about how they think it's really problematic that people were like, will say that it's a common experience to be like, oh, your uncle or your cousin is coming over, put on some clothes or like put on jeans or something.
Yeah.
And then people would duet that, being like, if your family, if there's people coming into your house where you feel like you're unsafe or you're worried about
Yeah.
something happening, they shouldn't be welcome in your house.
Mhm.
So I do think like that is a worldwide issue, or that's a issue at least in the society that we've come to know.
Mm-hmm.
Because then also there's that statistic, right? When it comes to people being assaulted, it's always somebody that they know.
Yeah.
It's far greater, like there's a far greater chance that it's somebody that you know or a family member. So like I said, you're right. It is a worldwide issue. I think it's just expressed in the
Yeah.
culture differently.
I think specifically speaking on, I guess, the Latino culture, I feel like people think that these are very high concerns because the community doesn't tend to really like to talk about these things.
Yeah.
Like, especially knowing how the culture is very like family oriented. It's like you wouldn't, like, if you know that your family member is weird, you probably still wouldn't like try to like separate him from your family, or
Yeah.
like, is it like ostracize them?
Yeah.
Like I think that's why I think in this point they like try to show it like, oh, it does happen specifically in this. But I think what they're trying to more express is that sometimes it's not talked about. It's
Yeah.
like something
Mhm.
that's like sort of normalized,
Yeah.
where it's like for us, like we'll bring it up, but
Yeah.
the family member, or whether it's like their sister or like your own parent, right?
Yeah.
You'll bring it up to them and be like, hey, like my uncle's really weird, and that's really weird.
Yeah.
Like, no, like he's just like that.
Yeah, it's just your uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I think in this sense, it's always just like those types of topics aren't really like spoken about.
Yeah,
or
for
like
sure.
they're very hard to bring up.
No, yeah, I get what you mean. Cause not that long ago, maybe a year ago, I was talking to somebody about like relating to culture. Like, and I've said it before, I'm multicultural, right? Chinese origins, Mexican origins, all that stuff, right? But somebody mentioned to me, and I had never really thought about that there, for me at least, because I'm not first generation. I don't know what I even count as. But they were like, there's also an American there, like, you know, and in the sense of like, I was born here. Both of my I'm not first generation. So there's an American culture like that I relate
I get
to.
what you mean. Yeah.
And one of the things that I always noticed is most of the people I know are first generation. I think I don't know anybody other than me who isn't. And a lot of people talk about that, like, not specifically in this case, but even if it's like some minor problems or like minor things where it's like, like, but I don't want the family to like get involved or like say things about the family. And so I've never really related to that or understood like that. I just don't really know about it, or that idea of like the family is like this thing. I guess from my perspective, I've always been like, I don't know, like I care a lot about what my family thinks, and obviously I love them a lot. But I think when it comes to certain things, like people talk about like school, right? My family doesn't want me to go to school. I feel like I would be like, get fucked then. I don't care what you think. Like, I don't know. It's my, I just don't feel that. And I think I've noticed that that's probably the American, where it's like, I don't think America's super, they want to say like the nuclear family and stuff. But I think it's a very individualistic culture. I think that's probably what I have. So I get what they're trying to say. Where it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow, really well put. Yeah. I agree. I guess, should I read off? I'll read off a little bit
Read
more.
off your favorites.
Starting a family before marriage needs to stop being very common in our community. That one's kind of crazy. I don't know.
Well, I think it's.
I mean, it gets unpopular, right? Unpopular opinion. Because I
say
guess
it again. Read it again.
It says starting a family before marriage needs to stop being very common in our community. Sure. Do you want to read some of the replies?
Yeah.
Let's see. Starting a family before marriage and during your adolescence has to stop. And then, yeah.
I guess I see more the adolescence one. I guess to me, when I hear like the whole marriage thing, I'm kind of a little careful about that, or kind of, because I don't know. Like I know that wasn't their intent. I'm not trying to call them out and say that was their intent. But to me, it reminds me of the rhetoric of when people are like, well, a kid needs a proper family. They need a mother and a child and a marriage and this and that. Where I think it's a little bit more complex than just that. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm a little bit mixed on that one.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I guess that's why it's unpopular, because I am a little mixed on that. It also just seems a little like, I don't know, derogatory. Like I feel like it's talking about I don't feel like it's that common. Or do you guys feel like it's common
to have kids before marriage?
Yeah, at least in speaking to the like Latino community. But I guess I keep saying that about all these.
Well, I guess to me, the way I also see it is like, you always hear people or you hear the like, what's it called? Like the, not stereotype, but like, you know, that it's, that there's people who will have a kid, right? And then say the right thing to do is for us to get married now. And sometimes I feel like that isn't the right thing to do, because you're like, well, I feel like you guys didn't really like each other, and you guys just have kind of the kid uniting you. Yeah. And I feel like I've seen stories online where people will talk about like, oh, my parents just hate each other, but they're together for me. And I don't think that makes like an awesome place to grow up.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen it in person too. Like I've met people who's like, their families, their mother and their dad should have like divorced a long time ago, and if anything, them staying together caused more pain and trauma and harm than if they had just split. And co-parented. You know. So yeah, I agree. I think it's like, but I mean that's why it's unpopular, I guess. Because
well, I think it also comes from probably like traces of, what's the word, like religious, like
like
matrimony is the way to go.
Yeah, for sure. Let me see. Materialism is destroying our community. She isn't a spicy Latina. She is abusive. Same goes for men too. And glorifying domestic abuse as a sign they truly love you is weird.
Interesting.
What do you think?
Wait, what was it?
It says she isn't a spicy Latina. She is abusive. Same goes for men too. And glorifying domestic abuse as a sign they truly love you is weird. I think it's like kind of touching upon like like me pegan, you know, like
Is that
jokes like that.
like when they say like toxica and all
And
that?
yeah, and
Yeah.
toxico, like that. I guess the
Mhm.
dynamic of like playing into
Yeah.
the toxico and toxica.
Yeah.
So basically saying like don't glorify domestic abuse is just weird because I think it normalizes like people thinking that that's just true love. It's just
Mhm.
like, oh, they just love you. That's why they're
That's why they're abusing you.
yeah, basically. So I kind of get it. It just came off a little crazy at
Yeah,
first.
Yeah.
I get you. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like with that one, I think it's the same thing. Like it for sure happens a lot in like I guess our community, but I think in general women are always raised in that way. Because I don't know if you guys ever remember hearing like, oh, he's mean to you because he actually likes you, or like he
Yeah.
hits you because he actually likes you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a thing that like some girls, at least growing up, used to hear
Yeah.
about
Mhm.
like dudes when
That's true.
when little boys would like pick on you. They'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh no, it's because he likes you. Like that's he secretly like has a crush on you, and that's why he's like picking on you."
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it because that's dangerous because it kind of conditions young women to like, oh, if somebody's acting negative towards you, especially a man that's romantically invested, it's a good thing. Like, you
Yeah.
know, if they call you names or be mean to you,
Yeah.
it's actually just because they love you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see that in movies all the time. I've seen a bunch of movies where they're like, they're your bully. They actually really like you. And this,
Mhm.
you know, I just watched a Hey Arnold clip. You know Hey Arnold?
Mhm.
What's the
Mhm.
girl's name? Olga? The
I
girl
think
that
so.
picks
Yeah,
on
yeah,
him?
yeah, yeah.
I didn't know they got together.
Yeah.
There's a movie where they get together and he's like, I know you just bully me because you love me. And I was like, I guess. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and
But I get what
that-
you're coming from.
and-
It's not like unheard of that
in
that's
that
a thing.
one, it's like the other way
Yeah.
around, where she like picks on him,
Yeah.
but she secretly is really in love with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, but yeah, like it's just fun. Like I never knew it was, I guess, harmful. Like
Yeah.
because I used to say like, oh, es que te pegan, like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but it was always a joke. But I never until recently, and even a little bit before, I started realizing that that's a little more harmful.
Yeah.
You know, because that's kind of like
Yeah.
sort of inviting that of like, oh no, like it's okay, like it's just funny, like we're just messing around.
Yeah.
But there's people who generally go through those situations,
Yeah.
and that's why
Yeah.
it's very harmful to like say that.
Because it makes it seem like it's normal. Like,
Yeah.
like every now and then your girl hits you or, you know, whatever. But it's fine, you know, like, because
Yeah.
that's the toxicas.
Or like it's funny that you're scared of your girl, like
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I, for sure. I think our the like Mexican community kind of plays into it.
Mhm.
Like they play into the toxico stereotypes. Like, I just feel like it's so normal to hear it. Like, I guess like either in day-to-day conversation or online of like, you know, sometimes your girl's just like, you know, like she's gonna be crazy and
She
like,
beat the shit out of me.
yeah, like she's gonna bust my windows up for
No, yeah,
doing
I
this
agree.
and
I
that.
I think in general that kind of, I just think in general like that toxicity again in general is very romanticized.
Mhm.
Like,
Oh, for sure.
You hear people like being like, oh, like he scratched up my car, he did this, like he vandalized your
He's
stuff.
like-
That's crazy, bro. Like that's scary.
And there's people who are like, they're like, may a love like this never find me.
Yeah, you know. So like,
Yeah.
I do think that that's an issue that people. I think
Yeah.
you hit the nail on the head like forever ago when you said that part of sex ed should be like teaching people what an actual healthy relationship looks like.
Mhm.
Because I weirdly think, like now that we're talking about it, I don't think people have much access to seeing what healthy relationships looks like.
Yeah.
And I think like because in general, I don't think the what do you call it? The spectrum of what people consider a healthy relationship in today's world
Mhm.
is so crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like there's people who think a healthy relationship is somebody is completely subservient to the other.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
There's people who, like we were talking about, who think like an occasional smack is appropriate and people say that's a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
In movies, even though a lot of people might not think it's that deep, it is that deep, you know, like because I think to me, like when it comes with how people are treating you or treating it, you're like, oh, I guess that's normal. You know what I mean? So I think when it comes to like going back to what you said with sex ed, I do think there needs to be a space where people learn how
Yeah.
to actually be
It's
in a
it's kind of
relationship.
crazy because I feel like it gets romanticized so much to be like toxic or like a toxic partner.
Yeah.
That I feel like people have now kind of in their ideas thought of a healthy relationship as sort of vanilla and boring.
Yeah.
Is that a crazy take, or do you think that's valid?
I've definitely seen people say that. Like I've seen people be like, sometimes you miss the toxicity And I'm like, really? I don't know.
I've heard that too, where
Yeah.
people are like, it's like being, I guess, in a healthy relationship,
Yeah.
right? Whatever you see as healthy, that some people see it as like being boring.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's just like due to trauma.
Yeah.
Like I think that's just trauma, and like whether you see it in your own household, right, or whether you see it through your relationships, both things, or
Yeah.
you know, could happen at the same time, you know.
Yeah.
But I feel like, yeah, sometimes it's like really romanticized, especially in movies,
Yeah.
and like especially in books. Like how I always said, I think I mentioned it once, where like in like novellas, like there's always sort of like cheating going on.
Yeah.
But yet the main characters, and like it's always like the dude or the girl like cheats on them, but yet they still end up together in the end.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like that over like dramatic and over like overly romanticized of like, no, you guys will go through these obstacles.
It's normal to go through your cheating phase.
Yeah.
Like, you know, every now and, you know, oh, I remember when me and my man went through,
No,
you know,
I
people
mean,
would be like that.
I think because now that we're talking about it, I'm like, man, I can't really think of a single place where people would be shown what an appropriate relationship
I guess
looks like. I
maybe
really
like
can't.
YouTubers or
Not
like
for free though.
influencers.
But I mean, I guess with YouTubers and influencers, they're always like, it also is fake. It's like reality TV.
it is for sure.
You know what I mean?
It's
So I'm
played up.
like, I really can't think of like an accessible area where you're like, this is what, because some people, like we just talked about, some people's parents, like, you know, like how they talk to each other, how they treat each other. And
yeah. This is interesting because I think it all ties together. It shows you how culture plays such a role in just like people's ability to raise their kids in the right way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of dangerous to say in the right way, but I'm gonna just say it that way. Because I think like if people's love languages and what they perceive as love and what they understand as love is based off the like how they were foundationally raised.
Yeah.
And so if your parents were the type to be that toxic couple, then when you grow up, you're like, I mean, that's what love feels like. Like that's it feels wrong if it's not that way. It feels boring.
Yeah. You know, that's crazy, man. I think it ties back to the how you talked about
I thought you were gonna say it ties back to The Fly.
No. The first one was like the people undervalue education. Because like when you think about it, man, there's a lot of room for things to be added to education that you never really think about it. You know, like I don't know, there's just a lot of things that when you think about it, you're like, man, where are you supposed to find that? Like genuinely, like if somebody's supposed to, like, let's say somebody has been exposed to nothing but toxic relationships, whether it's their parents or people they meet or the media they consume or whatever. Where the hell are you supposed to find it? Like genuinely, it's not like therapy is free. It's not like family therapy is free or relationship therapy is free. And then you go online, everybody thinks they're a relationship expert too. Yeah. And being like, oh, it's cheating if he does this. Like, damn, in retrospect, it's really impossible to find that.
Yeah.
You know? And so I'm like, damn, that's
there were so many. I have so many thoughts. It's so funny that I didn't think this one was gonna go that deep, but I have so many thoughts. Like I was thinking about, do you think it'd be controversial in a school if they announced like we're gonna have nice class now? Nice class is basically a unit of learning where we learn manners, like respect.
We
like
had that
to be
in
nice,
school, didn't we?
Well,
social issues. I think social issues is kind of like that. Because I know
had that.
You didn't take social issues in high school.
In high school,
social issues. You never took social issues. Did you take social issues?
No, I didn't take social issues.
It's
probably, you know what it probably is? Avid.
Was it Avid?
I don't know what that is.
No, he doesn't know what that is because it's social issues to him.
Oh, you guys didn't have Avid?
What is it? Was it a
for
class?
me? Avid was more just like homeroom. Like
no,
it was just like
this was a legitimate class.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they probably Avid turned into social issues.
It was social issues. It was a legitimate class, and they would talk about stuff like social issues, but they would also touch on other things like consent from here and there, bystander effects, like fallacies, stuff like that. Yeah,
for sure, that's Avid.
And I think to me,
that sounds sort of familiar.
Yeah, and I think to me, in retrospect, like, damn, you probably need more of that.
Yeah,
because
that's what I'm saying.
I think people should learn how to interact with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Like appropriately.
Yeah.
I think why there's so many rude people.
Well, what did Avid stand for?
Shit, I don't even know.
Social issues.
All I remember is they would teach us like where we went to school, I think there's a specific way they wanted us to do
for
like
always.
notes. Oh, it's when they taught us how to do like Socrates or something like that.
Socratic seminars.
Yeah, and then all the time we would spend in classes learning how to do that in class.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, what? Like nobody uses this.
I guess maybe. Well, it sounds like a social science, like
Yeah.
the social sciences.
Mhm.
So maybe I think a social science should be included because I think that would be like how to engage with people, how to
Yeah.
talk with people appropriately,
Yeah.
how to like.
I do vaguely remember the bystander one.
Yeah.
I think that's where I learned like about it.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing and cut this out if you feel like this is too much. But I'm laughing because my girlfriend told me a story of how in high school her teacher had to stop doing Socratic seminar because it would always devolve into like someone counterpointing someone and then that person being like, well, you're just a bitch, and so
Damn. That's crazy. Nah, but I do think
I
that's,
never got that intense.
yeah, but
Uh-huh.
she said that they had to stop doing Socratic seminar because it always just devolve into kids just fucking cursing at each other.
That's crazy.
Isn't that funny?
What you were
So
saying?
maybe when you're younger, I think maybe in kindergarten that is something you should learn
Yeah.
is how to engage with other people.
Yeah, I feel like especially when we had that segment about having sex ed in like schools a lot
Yeah.
more. I do think it's important because I feel like kids do need to learn what consent is.
Yeah.
And like I think that's just like, for the most part you kind of spend your life in school
Yeah.
when you're not like 3.
Yeah.
From 3 and on, you're basically mostly at school for the most part. And I feel like if you're gonna spend it there, I think you should try to like learn that. But I think also just as parents you can also teach that. But if you're like spending your most of the time in school, I think that's also important to also like, because I think it's important for one to learn it in like the house, but also learn it somewhere outside of home.
Yeah. How to engage with people who are in your family.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons why it isn't taught because I think I don't, like I said, it's probably a social science,
Yeah.
but what would you call it, like kindness class?
Kindness.
But I think that kind of thing unfortunately ends up in like a religious stance
Yeah.
because I think people go to like find faith for that purpose because like we learned that treat your neighbor the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
So for some reason it doesn't stick with that crowd, but you know what I mean? I think there needs to be like a scientific approach to teaching people how to interact with each other.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Now that I think about it, that's probably why there's so many rude people and unpleasant people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody taught them how to act like with respect and kindness.
It's
each other.
because I recently was like shocked to see, but I think people's mindset on that has changed. I truly believe that everybody deserves like a decent like respect, like just like
A base level of respect.
yeah, there you go. Perfect, what I was
Yeah.
looking for. Base level respect. But I've seen people recently argue and say that's not true. That not everybody deserves your respect.
Some people just argue, bro. I think it's I get the
That
I
it was
guess
like they were
I-
saying like people who don't respect themselves don't deserve your respect either.
I think to me it's like that philosopher thing is like, what's your definition of respect? Like some people's definition of respect is like, glazing basically.
Mhm.
But I think for me it's more like you treat somebody with decency and kindness and
Yeah.
understanding. That's about it. I don't think that's a wrong thing to do.
Bro, but
It's
some
cra-
people
No,
were
I
like
know.
saying like
Crazy-
it was wrong.
crazy it's a hot take now.
People wanting respect.
People really want respect nowadays, bro. Respect is earned.
Respect is earned, I guess. I guess people don't have a base. I think everybody should just be given a base level of respect.
Yeah.
But maybe that I guess
It's a
that's
hot take, bro.
in 2020 in
Bro,
big 25.
I saw this TikTok one time of this girl. She was making a TikTok about how like people just argue over anything, and she was like, you could say, I want peace in the world, and the comments would be like, well, actually, and then somebody in the comments was like, hi, this is your reminder that not everybody deserves peace. Thank you. And so it's like sounds like that, where it's like not everybody deserves respect. Like, damn.
I know. I guess that's what we're living in right now, dude.
Yeah.
This will be the last one I read, and then we can
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
Just because it's a funny one. It says, "You're invited to the carne asada is being used way too much."
Is it?
It's like it's the like third most liked one.
Like the actuality of
It says
inviting somebody to the carne asada, or just like the
phrase. I think the phrase. I guess people are like, you're invited to the carne asada.
I've only ever seen it be used endearingly.
Yeah, true. I think that's why I put it as the last one, because I think it's like for the most part just funny.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Personally, I feel like I haven't heard it that much.
Yeah, I don't think I heard it that much.
So the top reply to that one was, meanwhile, it's a white person putting up an ofrenda for their dog, but probably voted for Trump.
Wait, what?
Well, because obviously, you know, when you're invited to a carne asada, it's
always
always used.
It's just them
Yeah.
doing something.
Well, for the most part, when you say you're invited to carne asada, it is usually someone who's not Mexican or Latino.
Yeah.
And so the top reply is, meanwhile, it's a white person putting up an ofrenda for their dog, but they probably voted for Trump.
An ofrenda for their dog is
So
funny.
I think it seems to be that people are think that we use you're invited to carne asada way too much. Basically, the deeper meaning is, I think that we let too much shit slide. And we invite people into the community very easily.
I think, because I was like, I think they're using it in like what you said.
Right.
They're just letting anybody in at this point.
All you need to
when
do
in
is,
reality, like all they did was something basic.
Yeah.
You just see them drinking a Modelo, and they'll be like, dude, they're for us.
They have a Fanta orange, and they're like, bro, he's invited to the cookout.
Yeah, literally.
Basically, that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So okay,
I get that. Okay.
Is that used too much?
I think I understand. I think the premise of what they're saying is done too much. Where it's like, you're one of us, and it's the most basic shit ever. It's like, wow, he didn't. Never mind.
No, yeah, I get you.
Yeah, wow, he's not racist. He's the bare minimum. Wow.
But that closes our segment, my segment for this week. But that doesn't mean that we don't have important segments to come. We still have a lot more to talk about. Brandon, what are we going to talk about now?
Well, I guess what I want to talk about is, I mean, he's impossible to escape in the news because I guess he's like the co-president of the United States, was Elon Musk. And we've talked about him before, but I guess I wanted to talk about it because, I wanted to talk about like a few different things. And I wanted to talk about first that there's a bunch of Doge layoffs in the government.
Mm-hmm.
And, I guess touch base on how like that affects a lot of people. Because I think at a passing glance, a lot of people assume it doesn't affect the community or it doesn't affect, I guess, even themselves in a personal light, because it gets lost in a lot of like political jargon. Or you think like, oh, it's just a government. It's like government layoffs. It has nothing to do with me. But in reality, it does. I think you can't. I don't know. I think just because it gets lost in that jargon, I don't think you can say that it doesn't affect us. And it does affect the Latino community directly. I have a few stats here that I wanted to read, I guess, to emphasize the point.
Yeah, go ahead, dude.
So people within the Latino community already have an unfavorable view of Elon Musk, 55% to be exact. But I think it's also important to take a look at how his influence on the administration is affecting like the Latino community and in a tangible way. So some of the statistics that I found, 69% of Latinos are concerned about cuts to government spending under Musk's Doge policies. 32% of Latinos personally know someone who has lost access to federal service compared to just 20% overall. 28% of Latinos know someone who is laid off from a government job compared to 17% overall. 73% of Latinos worry that the new tariffs will increase costs and make daily life more expensive, which at the time of this recording is true. Daily life is a lot more expensive.
Yeah, it really is. And it's projected that it's going to get even more expensive.
Yeah, like in small things too. Like a lot of things are getting more expensive. 71% of people fear that the majority government layoffs will force local nonprofits to shut down, cutting off critical community support. And politically, 61% of Latinos believe Democrats should stand up to Trump compared to 54% overall. So I guess for me, right off the bat, the statistics that shocked me the most was 28% of Latinos directly know somebody who has been laid off.
That is crazy.
Yeah, because I think, I don't know, in retrospect, or I guess taking that information in, I don't know. I think that's really tough because the way that I was seeing is, what does it leave the community with? because I think there's a lot of government action that's being taken that is kind of heavily implying or pushing the community out. And even when people within the community are working in the government the right way, so to speak, I'm not even trying to say that it is the right way, but within the government, they're just being like kicked out and laid off. And so that to me was like kind of shocking, because I'm like, well, then what's the community supposed to do? Like, it seems like nothing is good enough.
Yeah.
Like the normal day-to-day tasks or whatever the services that I think Latinos provide to society aren't really considered like enough under this administration and under like the Doge cuts. But even just like straight up government, like being in the government, is also now being considered like not enough, or that it's not appropriate for people to be in those spaces. So for me, that was like the shocking part.
Yeah. And I think for me, like, because I work with my dad, and we both are like blue collar men. And sometimes I say that lightly because I know there's even harder blue collar jobs out there.
Yeah.
Not all blue collar jobs are created equally, but I think for me that's like what sticks out the most, because like I see other people who come to the shop all the time, like that these are real people, like real Latinos working these jobs. And so the numbers can sometimes feel like abstract or like just like, I guess, like ink on a page, right? But at least for me, what sticks out is like these are real people, like real individuals with lives who are being impacted. So to me, it's kind of shocking, like that. I guess people haven't become more aware of that.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I feel like for me, my biggest worry is that like the part where you said that the 71% are like worried that the nonprofits are going to be like shut down. I feel like that's really huge, because like that goes to show you that a lot of like these different organizations and like especially like the nonprofits are really for them and important to them. Yeah. And I feel like where else are they supposed to go and find that support if like all of these different organizations are being shut down for them? And I think that's very like unfair to them, because it's like this is what they heavily like rely on, and then you know when the government and the support for it gets pulled away, it's sort of like where else can they go?
And then like I guess going back to it, it's like kind of how we were saying that I think it gets lost in like political jargon that this is affecting people, but there's concrete evidence that it is actually directly affecting the community. Like 70% of the community being worried that nonprofits are going to be taken away. That's 7 in 10 people. That's a lot of people. That's the vast majority of the community that feels that way, you know. And I'm also like, it feels kind of like at every step of the way, the community is being actively like opposed. You know, like on the ground level, like on the street level, people don't want the community here. And then at the government level, they don't want them there either. And that's why I was saying, like, where does that leave? Like, where are you supposed to be? You know, it's hard not to see it as a targeted thing, because I mean, like, how else are you supposed to interpret that? Like, you know, like they don't want you here when you're like I said, working just the day-to-day jobs, and then even at the top level, they don't want you there either. So that for me also, like I said, it feels like a targeted attack, and it's hard for me not to see it like that.
No, I agree. I think one thing that makes me hopeful, or like at least sticks out to me, is the fact that it says that like Latinos above like the national average are the ones who are asking the most for like pushback on Trump and the administration. So I think that gives me like a lot of hope that people aren't just kind of like feeling down. There's an active cry out for solutions, you know?
It's a lot, because I think even too the fact that there's people expressing concern about it, right? I feel like even that doesn't get taken seriously. Like the fact that people are expressing concern. I personally don't think it's fair for people to have to justify their concerns. Already there is on paper evidence, there is statistics, there is recorded concrete evidence of why they should be concerned and why they're valid to be concerned. But I think to me, it's also difficult, because it's like, why does the community constantly be forced to be like, why do you even care? Like, why does this concern you? And then they give you a whole list of things. I don't know. It kind of feels like gaslighting. You know, kind of like, you're concerned for no reason. Nothing's happening to you. But then you come with reasons of why, like how we said, like 70% of them are concerned because of nonprofits. Like a lot of people do rely on nonprofits. Like, what are people gonna do? The cost of living here is already impossible. You know, like the tariffs are making everything go up from everything. Like you could see it in food, even just luxuries, like small luxuries, like video games, right?
Yeah.
Like we talked about it the other day that like consoles or like small video games are like $500 now. Just everything. So it's like,
No, I get you. I think it's important too, like as like Latinos, that like we take it more seriously.
yeah,
It's because we seem to be the largest margin. Like I guess I'm reading some of the statistics again, and the one that like I feel like is still sticking out to me is the 28% of Latinos know someone who was laid off from a government job, compared to 17% overall. So I feel like the fact that we stick out like on a national average, to me shows you that if you haven't taken it seriously yet, you probably should, because it's just factual. It's just a stat. Like it's just borderline true.
Yeah.
Not even borderline true. Borderline as if like, oh, it's almost kind of. It is just a fact.
Yeah.
The math is all there. The math is mathing.
Yeah. And I feel like our community already has it hard enough to kind of, you know, even put their trust into the government.
Yeah.
Because it's always like, you know, we want to fight against this, right?
Yeah.
But then who do we fight for to help us out in these situations? It sometimes just feels like, are these things actually going to happen? Like, is there going to be a change for our community? Because sometimes it does feel like it's like they're just using us for our vote. And then once we do the vote, like, are you guys actually going to stand up for the community and for us? Because, like, as you can see, like, there's some people who believe that some sort of, like, there would have been changes now, right? Or even before then. But now it's just like we've seen it in the past of like us, like how you said, kind of like being gaslit and also being led into these things of like, no, we are going to make that change.
Yeah.
But then nothing happens for the community.
Yeah.
So I think more needs to be done for the community, and we need to continue to like speak up for them.
Yeah.
Because like if we keep letting this happen, it just becomes like a cycle of the treatment of our community and also just of other communities.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. And I guess I wanted to also quickly add on the how it was 28%, right? 28% of Latinos know somebody who's directly laid off. I guess to me, like, that also is also very like concerning, mind blowing, because it's like 20% is a lot. That's 1/4 of people. A little over 1/4 of people know somebody directly who has, at least in our community, who has been laid off because of it. And to me, it's like, well, for one, I'm like, it makes me sad because I know how hard it is to even get to that position as somebody from a marginalized community. Yeah. And I also feel like the people I had known, or not known, but like have come across who fight their way to get into those positions, like in government, whether it's like the parks department, or like whatever it is, I've always seen it come from an angle of like, we want to make a change for our community. Yeah. Like I've only ever encountered people who are like, oh, I'm getting into this government position, this government job, because I can help the community, or I can help something. And then it's a bit disheartening to see them then get laid off, because it's like, well, they were trying to make a change, you know? And so like you said, it's hard to then put faith again back into those areas, because it's like, well, people were trying to make a change. People were trying to work their ways. Again, like I don't mean it in the way that it sounds, but trying to do it the right way and make change from the inside. But then they were just removed completely from the inside. So that's a tough, like, for me, that's a tough statistic to hear, because it's like,
it's very disheartening, like you said, and it's saddening. In the slightest, in my optimal mind, I at least find comfort in the fact that a majority of Latinos seem to at least want like politicians to do something, and then also just all around have this awareness of like what's going on in the government, you know? It'd be more disheartening, I guess, if it was less. And it's like, oh, only like a little bit of the community cares, because these are real issues, you know?
No, for sure, I completely agree. And then, but I also want to add onto that is like the community does actually care. So I stop gaslighting the community and being like, nah, nobody even cares. Why do you even care? People do care. People care a great deal.
Because like you see it in the numbers and like what you mentioned, that people are heavily aware about the effects that it's doing to the community.
It's kind of comforting in a way, I guess, to know that people are actually like standing up, you know, like for our own community, or at least letting themselves be vocal and know that like we're not okay with the direction that you know, Doge and the possibility of tariffs and like increasing the price of a lot of like products, you know, is causing, you know.
No, for sure. And I think also like, how can you not know if like we just talked about like not that long ago, like in the past segment about how the community's super like family values in this. So like I know the statistic doesn't exactly work like this, but like let's say there was 4 of us in this room. There's 3 right now. It would be like if one of us was like, oh, you know, my brother got laid off from his job in the government. Like that's me directly telling you. So I think to me the 28% actually is a big deal because it's like that's pretty hard to then. That means like a good amount of people know somebody. You know, whether it was them or like someone that they know very closely. You know, even if it was like, oh, my friend used to work there, and because I don't know, that's how I would bring it up in conversation.
Yeah, and I guess in an insane sidebar, it's also just shows you the value in like looking at stats because like it shows you that at least for me, it validates a lot of like that I'm not alone. And feeling like concerned, and clearly the community is following along with us. You know, I think that's like one of the importance of
for sure. That's a good point because I think like how we were just talking about how like people like to gaslight the community or for their concerns and be like, why are you like even reacting?
There's
like
numerical
this?
evidence.
There's numerical evidence of why you should, in fact, why it's appropriate for you to feel that way. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, that's all I had to say. I don't know if you guys had anything else you wanted to close with.
I think that I just want to say that I'm proud of the community for kind of coming together and trying to make a change and like overwhelmingly, you know, asking politicians, Democrats to like push back a little bit on Trump. I think there's that. I think that overall, I hope like, you know, sharing the numbers, sharing the statistic with our audience creates more of a drive and a passion within our community to kind of just like continue to fight the good fight and the importance of just staying educated and aware.
Yeah, and I guess for me, I wanted to close with this is, like, I know, like, obviously, like, the numbers have a lot of impact. I think the numbers and the statistics do have a lot of impact. But I also wanted to add that when you hear these numbers and being part of a marginalized community, they're also more than just numbers. Like, they're not just numbers on a spreadsheet. They're people with families, stories, struggles. They're your cousins, they're your brothers, they're your friends.
They're you.
They're people. They're people with real stories. And I think it's also I wanted to add that like these people, our people, contribute to society in ways that can never be measured in a meaningful way. You know, that can never be measured. You know, I don't think, like I said, it's just like they're not just numbers on a statistic. Yes, they're important, but they're also just people. And I don't think that marginalized people should ever have to prove why they need to be in certain spaces or why they need to be here. So that's mostly what I'm going to close with. Yeah.
Wow, really well said. Really well said.
Thank you.
Really good segment, guys. I hope you guys found some value in that. And we're going to go ahead and close this one off and go to our final topic for today's episode.
Yeah.
Brandon, you recently saw something. You sent it in the group chat. I saw it.
Yeah.
What is it that men are leaning more towards conservatism?
Gen Z, man. Ironically, I never thought
so
that.
So Gen Z is the
us.
You guys.
Yeah.
Us.
Okay. You're like right there. Like you're right on the
I'm
line.
What, millennial and Gen Z?
You're like
on the line. I think you're Gen Z, but like
you're a cusp.
Yeah, you're a cusp. Like I think like because you know you're December. You're like literally the final month before you become.
You're the last millennial.
Yeah, yeah, literally.
I'm the last standing millennial.
Yeah, the last millennial.
So, Julie, go ahead. You can go ahead and go in on our generation.
Well, it wasn't just conservative; it was religious too.
Yeah, they're becoming heavily religious, conservative.
Yeah,
I know,
but they go hand in hand. You know,
tomato, tomato.
Tomato, tomato.
Yeah.
I guess it's interesting because when you sent the video, there was, I don't even know how old the guy was. He probably, but there's a show called like Love is Blind.
Yeah.
And in that show, it's about, there's one couple that one guy is like heavily, I guess, sort of has like conservative values and then like is religious.
Yeah.
And then the girl is heavily, I guess you could say she's like progressive, you know, especially because like she grew up with her sister being, I think she's lesbian.
Yeah.
And she grew up in, oh my God, where was it? Where George Floyd happened. In that state.
No.
Wasn't it?
It was Minneapolis.
Like the exact.
I think.
I'm probably getting confused.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. That's why we have the internet. That's why we have fact checkers. Fact checker. What is it?
But I think that's where. I think that's what she had implied.
Wow,
yeah.
good one.
I think that's what she had like said, and so basically she's like very well informed, you know, about like those kinds of things. And the guy that she had paired herself up with wasn't really like that.
Yeah.
Like he was heavily religious. He didn't really care too much about like
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter. Like he just said it just wasn't something that he, or like the LGBTQ community wasn't something that he really like was involved. I think he still had friends who were in that community, but he just was like, you know, whatever about
Yeah.
it. And so it was just interesting to see because there is a scene where like they don't get married.
Yeah.
She ends up like walking out on him because she says that their values just don't align.
Oh, it
Yeah.
went viral, right?
And it went viral. But there was a specific scene that I thought was very interesting. I mean, besides that one, there was another specific scene where he's talking to his friends, and it's
Yeah.
just him and like two other dudes.
Yeah.
And they're talking about it, and he kind of is still confused as to like why she walked out on him.
Yeah.
And then they end like their discussion in prayer, so they start praying. And I thought it was interesting because I feel like I don't know why seeing grown men do like a religious practice just seemed very like what's the word? I don't want to say weird, but it was weird. Like it was something that I had never really seen before because I
Yeah.
think growing up I had always just seen women be a little more religious and like going to church. It was always heavily like women, right? Especially
Yeah.
I think because I grew up seeing like, you know, like the nuns, the sisters,
Yeah.
it was always women. So I think now seeing the shift of it being men is very like I don't want to use weird, but it is weird. Like it seems very out of place now.
I don't think it's wrong
And
to
I
say
think-
weird. I think it is weird.
Yeah, and I think it's just interesting because I'm just more trying to understand like why that's happening.
No, for sure. Like, I don't
Yeah.
mean weird in like an insulting way, like that. Like you're fucking weird. I mean, it's just odd, you know?
Well, I guess again because we went to Catholic school, I think at least for me, I was just very much like, I don't know. I guess when I was a kid, it felt more like spirituality, religion, stuff like that was kind of something you kind of did on your own time, or like it was kind of more private.
Mhm.
Not that it, but then like when you came to like public spheres
Yeah.
or like public television or public school, when I went to
Yeah.
public school,
Mhm.
that religion just wasn't there because for one thing, not everybody believes, and that's why I felt like it was always kind of like, at least from my interpretation as a kid, I kind of took it as like, oh, well, this is just something you do like on your own
Yeah.
time because that's like everybody has a different opinion, right? So I think when it comes out as like, no, it's for everybody to see, it's kind of like, wait, I don't know, because I think that's what I mean. It's like, I don't know what the word is. Maybe it is just weird because it's like, to me, it's like, I feel like it assumes that everybody like is just believes in that, you know what I mean? Or is kind of, I don't know. That's what I mean. Cause I know we talk about religion a lot but I think like, how can we not?
Yeah.
You know, it's such a big part of our lives. And to me, I feel like the way that I think about it is, I've always said, like, I think everybody has the right to practice their religion, but I also have the right to not practice it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know how people are always like, oh, respect your religion, respect people's religions. I think you genuinely should respect also that people don't
Aren't
believe
religious.
it. Yeah, don't believe it.
Yeah.
And I think something that this might be a hot take is that I think you should respect people's freedom to practice whatever it is that they practice and believe.
Yeah.
I think you should also be understanding that there's people who have reservations about it because they have trauma
Yeah.
with the religious groups or they have uncomfortable history with those religious groups. I think that's very valid as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't think that gets talked about enough because I think for some people it is uncomfortable because I think they've had very unpleasant experiences. And I think that's something that should be, I don't know, what's the word? Like, you should be understanding
Like
that.
put into consideration.
Yeah,
a
like
little
some
bit.
people, I'm telling you, some people have some dark relationships, dark experiences with that kind of stuff.
No, yeah.
And even just in general, like, even if you don't have like a direct experience, pick up a history book. Like, genuinely, pick up a history
Your
book.
family probably did.
Your
or
family
your
might have.
ancestors did.
You know, like, I don't blame people being like, that makes me kind of uncomfortable. Like, I don't want this. And So it's like tough. But the reason I bring that up is
I was gonna say is like, so tying it back.
Tying it back is not because I'm talking about those girls per se. Like I don't really care that much. But to me, it's more like I'm shocked that it kind of came back, or like that it showed up again. Because I think growing up and coming from Catholic school, I always felt that it was kind of a dying trend. Like I thought I always kind of saw it as like, religion's kind of going out the door. At least in the modern world, right?
Yeah.
Just
I felt that way too when we would go. I felt like, damn, I feel like we're like the only people who do this.
Yeah.
When we were in Catholic school.
Because we go to church, nobody was in there.
Yeah.
Nobody was in there. Like I remember going to public school.
It had a renaissance since we were kids.
And then I remember like going to public school finally and mentioning to people that like I went to Catholic school, and people being like, "What? Like you went to Catholic school?" Like it was such a like niche thing. Like I can't believe you went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
So to have it like turn around, like, come back, and now it's kind of becoming dominant. I mean, I guess I would assume it would have been an older generation thing. I'm just very like surprised that it found the current generation.
If we had to put some, because obviously it's not just one thing. It's probably multiple things as to why it's happening. Let's see some things that I can count off the head. For sure, like you had mentioned last time, the kind of like the internet entertainment sphere for young boys. And it started in our generation because Joe Rogan really blew up when we were like younger. And I mean, I won't lie, like I remember seeing him like everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's like one of the biggest. Yeah.
He popularized podcasting.
Yeah. So that kind of started the reign of like the red pill content and the kind of like conservative pipeline. And I think that for a lot of young men, they went down that route and kind of never got off. Like, I feel like for at least, I'll speak for myself, at least for me, like, I had enjoyed some of the podcasts that Joe Rogan had, but then when he did start becoming or showing more of a kind of like conservative side, I just felt like I didn't identify with that at all. Yeah. So I kind of checked out and I didn't really listen to him anymore, nor did I associate myself with people he had on the pod. Yeah. But I think that because young people are obviously have minds that are easy to be molded. I think for a lot of people, they started to kind of find an identity in it. You know what I mean?
I think also, I saw somebody duet the like clip that I sent you guys. And I thought they had a really good take, which is, so when I think most of this started was 2016, because guess who ran for the first time?
Yeah, 100%.
And Gen Z, I was 15 when that happened. Yeah. I think those are instrumental years of growing up. And as much as people say try to keep politics out of life, I'm dumbfounded that you can even think that you can. Yeah. You turn on the TV anywhere, he's mentioned SNL, skits. You go to church, some people mention him in church. Anywhere.
You see him in memes.
Yeah, memes anywhere. So to me, if you're 15 like I was, or even younger, I think Gen Z stops at like 2009 or some shit. Whatever. How can you not, like, it's basically been a 10-year propaganda like train of just massive controversial like all these things of conservative religious like propaganda really being pushed on people. I mean, obviously, like, you know, people are growing up and that's what they're seeing in the world. Makes total sense.
Yeah, because I think I felt like the whole entertainment aspect of like red pill and the conservative pipeline for young men, I feel like it kind of sold you a lot of lies that sound like truths if you're ignorant and uneducated, which a lot of people are. And that's not a diss, or like, I don't even think that you're a bad person if you're uneducated. There's a lot of good people out there who didn't get an education and don't obviously like align with problematic or dangerous ideas, you know what I mean? But just to say that I think if you're uneducated and you're ignorant, they could sell you a lot of easy lies. Like, I feel like a straight up lie that they always say is that feminism basically means that women hate all men and that men should be subservient to women, which just isn't true. But I think it's an easy lie to teach someone who's not educated and is clearly like, you know, you're a teenager.
Especially if you've never been exposed to proper feminism or just feminine, like, or actual feminism,
or you've ever even been exposed to women and you're girls,
and you're growing up, and these people on TV in power are saying this is the truth. I can't see how you wouldn't be like, oh, that was my first exposure to that.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's true. It resonates so much. Like, women don't want me, but truthfully, it's more of like, I think that when you're like a teenager, or you're, at least as a dude, when you're a teenager, or you're growing up like a preteen, I think your mind is just really easy to be molded into anything. And I think that like this like red pill lie of like women are terrible people, or like they're basically next to objects, and they want you to take away your masculinity. That's another lie
Yeah.
that they sold, that masculinity is dying. But it's not. It's toxic masculinity is the one that's being like
Yeah.
Yeah.
disregarded. It's just so easy to sell you these lies if you are generally uneducated. And obviously, if you're a kid, you're not educated. You know, you're not an adult. You don't know
Yeah.
everything. So it's easy to sell these lies to these young kids because
For
they're
sure.
not old enough to not only have been properly educated, but not even old enough to have experienced real life relationships with women, with the other gender, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's where a lot of the Gen Zs being conservatives come from, is I think that people really believe in a lot of lies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Like I was gonna say that it's not directly what we're talking about, but I think it's like in the same genre at this point. Is I'm not the biggest fan of Jubilee. I think they platform a lot of problematic viewpoints,
Yeah.
and
They
but
legitimize them.
they legitimize them. Like they just legitimize them. Like it's this side or this side. Like this
Yeah.
is like,
Both sides
which
have
one-
a point.
which one's true, which one's
Yeah.
true, and it's like you decide, instead of like, no, one's clearly true and one's clearly wrong. And the one that I felt was most obvious was, you guys know who Dr. Mike is? He's a doctor and he's an influencer, and they had him on, and it's a doctor versus 20 anti-vaxxers. And I remember,
Oh, yeah,
and
I've heard
I
of it.
remember like kind of when I remember always hearing about anti-vaxxers, people
Yeah.
who didn't, but there was always like, to me, like on the same level as like a flat earther. Like, nobody's like actually like that. And if they are, maybe like 10 people in the
Yeah.
whole city,
Mhm.
you know? But to see how many people subscribe to that ideology
Yeah.
now of like vaccines cause autism, or vaccines are killing you, or this,
Yeah.
that. So blatantly obvious propaganda, right? Meaningless too. That doesn't make any sense. And to go to a doctor, like a legitimate doctor, and be like, you don't know what you're talking about. I read this on Reddit. Like, I don't know. Like, you're
But
so
that's not
right. Like,
exactly,
it's
dude.
just it's
Exactly, like, and it pisses me off a bit because, like, at least as a man, I can't believe a lot of other men are out here believing like obvious lies that are so easily discredited with a simple Google search, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
simply picking up a book, or
Well,
simply talking to somebody.
yeah.
Also,
No,
side thing to like that specific
yeah.
show. I also think they're just problematic because it always just seems, it's starting to seem like it's just kind of like
Rage bait.
clickbait. Yeah, like
Yeah.
rage bait, where it's just like they know that people are gonna get angry,
Yeah.
so they know that people are gonna get the
Views
views
and-
and comments, and people are gonna share it,
monetization.
and like, yeah, and all that stuff. Which is why it's like so annoying, because it's like you are sort of in a way spreading misinformation,
Yeah.
especially in this instant, right, where it's like they're challenging a doctor
Yeah.
who went to school for this,
Yeah.
and then yet like these people don't even believe him, or they're trying to discredit him
Yeah.
when this guy genuinely went to school,
Yeah.
and like these people are getting the voice to say like the wrong
No,
like,
for sure.
information.
Like what you said, it legitimizes those arguments, or those. It just legitimizes propaganda,
Yeah.
like, and lies. Like, it's just factually just not true.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it's just unfortunate, because it's like, even if they know, so to speak, what they're doing, or they're like, no, like, we're trying to expose it. It's like, but you're presenting it in a way that's like, you decide, you pick which one's right. We don't know, you know. It's
Yeah.
like, bro, we clearly know which side, or it sucks that there's even a side.
Yeah.
Like, we clearly know what the truth and what isn't. We have direct evidence for what the truth is, what
Yeah.
isn't. And I think it's also unfortunate, because specifically with the doctor things, I know people are gonna be like, well, you guys say that like minorities shouldn't trust doctors because like there's a history, but I'm like, it sucks, because I'm like, bro, but there's nuance to that.
Mhm.
Like, there's a direct reason why minority communities are uncomfortable with doctors,
Yeah.
and there's factual evidence of that. But if we're talking about vaccines and
And if
them,
we're talking about scientific data,
yeah, that's different. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in both scenarios, whether I say that in the past that doctors have, and even now, mistreat minorities, there's scientific data that proves that. There's
a whole building.
there's a whole building. There's history books. There's studies and that have done that are data to that.
Yeah.
And likewise to that, there's data that vaccines are safe.
Yeah.
There's data to how vaccines have eliminated disease. How many people do you know that have polio? Do you guys know anybody who have polio? No. Well, when my dad went to school, he knew a bunch of people who had polio. and who would pass away from polio.
Yeah.
But because of the polio vaccine, none of you have ever even. Some people might not even know what polio is.
Did you ever get chicken pox?
No.
Me either.
Yeah, and because of the vaccines,
Yeah.
but that was a huge problem for a lot of people.
No, it
back in the
was.
days. Yeah.
Yeah.
and
like now, like especially like I guess speaking on chicken pox a little bit, I think it's like if you've had it, it actually develops into something else. I
Yeah.
forget what it is.
smallpox.
Yeah.
Which like people didn't know that, right, at the
Yeah.
time. But that's why they created the vaccine so that people wouldn't.
Is it smallpox or is it?
Isn't it like measles?
Oh, no,
it's
Measles?
shingles.
Shingles. Yeah.
Oh.
Whoa, yeah. Smallpox. I think smallpox is like way more.
That, for
Holy
some
fuck.
people that
Maybe.
invalidate what we say.
I know.
People immediately unsubscribe because of
I
that.
know.
Maybe
But, like,
edit that
there's-
out.
But
Yeah.
there's like all those things, right? Where
Yeah.
it can lead to other stuff to just prevent them. It's the same thing as like what they spoke about COVID, right? We don't know what the long-term effects will eventually be for people who actually contacted
Yeah.
COVID.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, and so I'm just like, yeah, like how you said, like if people who are watching, have you ever caught chicken pox? Probably
Yeah.
because the vaccine helped you out.
Yeah.
Like, they needed
Yeah.
those, especially for kids, because you're around
people
kids.
just died.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Or eventually you just have the long-term effect later on.
and I think there's also like, I think it's just sad to me because it's like you said, it's obvious propaganda.
Mhm.
I follow this creator. His name's Robert Reich, I believe.
Yeah.
He does a lot of like he'll just fact check a lot of things or
Yeah.
explain a lot of things. And one of the things he brought up is every dictator or fascist regime
Mhm.
started a war on education, on science, on books, on just being educated in general.
Yeah.
And I think to me, I think it's valid. It's valid to say that it's scary that I can see in real time people genuinely intaking that propaganda.
Mhm.
Because I think to me, it's like, I think to me, because everything is so easily accessible, like you said, you can just Google it.
Yeah.
You could like that see how that's wrong. I mean, even like on Twitter, I don't have Twitter, but Grok, their AI fact checks Elon Musk, the owner of Twitter, like regularly, right? And it's just like you would think that just because it's available to people, just because it's everyone's, I don't know, just because it's there, you would think nobody would subscribe to this kind of ideology.
I truthfully think that specifically because the stat that this topic is around is Gen Z. I truthfully think that it's because when people were in their teen phase or in their preteen phase, when their minds are the most easily to morph, I think we got the biggest gaslight of the generations by Donald, by the president, by the Don, I guess, and which was basically he sold easy lies that make sense to most people if you don't dig deeper.
I also
Yeah.
think that there was also that lie about how people had humble beginnings.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of men specifically, because I feel like I haven't seen it too much in women
Yeah.
about how women want to become rich.
Yeah.
I always mostly see it. It's always predominantly men who. It's always the topic about how they want to be rich and like they're gonna become millionaires.
Well,
and,
it's
like,
the
do all
perfect.
these things and like
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of young men were fed that like illusion, like that like sort of dream that you can someday if you work really hard. Because I think even then that's when I started learning about pyramid schemes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
when that started happening, and like I just feel like because we're talking about what 2016, you guys were
I was 15.
you guys were just in high school.
Yeah.
Like you guys were just starting high school.
Yeah.
Like, and just, I feel like you growing up, especially in high school, I feel like high school years are very like
Crucial.
Formative years.
formative years. Cause I feel like you're still you're almost about to be like a really young adult.
Yeah.
And those are the times when like a simple breakup is like,
Yeah.
The end of the world.
the end of the world to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, also I wanted to add too is that when you get to high school, that's not only when you start to form your own ideas. I mean, just in general, you start to form your own ideas. You start to learn independence, to think for yourself on what
Yeah.
you want to and what you decide
Mhm.
you want your worldview of the world to be. And I think for people to be introduced to that at that time,
Yeah.
not a very good time to be introduced to that.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, you know?
it sucks because I feel like Gen Z men suffered just the biggest pyramid scheme in history, like, and continue to fall for this giant pyramid scheme. Because if you really think about it, let me break it down for you. It's like so perfect, like especially for a billionaire businessman like Trump to sell this lie. And I'm telling you, this is such a win-win scenario for him. Because like, one, you sell that men, like the women are the enemy. Women only want you if you have money. They won't look your way if you're not. Like, women are apparently these terrible people. So but if you also sell them this like idea of materialism, right? Like cars, yachts, big houses, like that's what's gonna make you fulfilled. So you know what you do? You grind your head off. I know people are gonna doubt you, but you continue to work and work and work, and it's a win-win for the big businessman, because that means that all this generation of millions of young men are gonna grow up and work their whole life to probably never become rich, but make the millionaire, billionaire money. And then on top of that, they're gonna try and make it, because now they think this idea of like, oh, women are gonna like me if I'm rich. But right now they won't talk to me. So you know what? I'm not even gonna talk to women. So it creates this cycle of like, well, now they're not gonna talk to women. So then they never get the delusion of this lie, of this pyramid scheme eradicated from their mind, because they never interact with them, because they're like, oh no, like I remember they told me they wouldn't even talk to me if I'm rich, and right now I have nothing anyway, so why would I even talk to them? Like, it's just a waste of time. It isolates men so that they don't even get an opposing thought to like the idea that they're so like almost like in love with is false. You know, it sells them this false perception of, if you grind hard enough, one day you'll be rich, and then one day that's when you get all the things you want. You'll get women, you'll get materialism, and you'll get power. But all that is false. All it does is it creates a worker who will always be a slave to the system, who will benefit the millionaire, billionaire, who reaps in their hard work and reaps in the reward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think that's why sometimes I feel like in those certain situations, there's a moment where you're at the bottom.
Yeah.
And I think that's when they are like praying to God to like be like, help me get out of this. Like, that's when like they enter that sort of like realm of like,
for sure,
of that help, right?
Well,
of wanting to turn into religion.
Well,
right?
I also think, oh man, some people are not gonna like this one, but I'm gonna read a Marx quote, which I think is very timely. But he says, and religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of a heartless world, and the soul of soulless conditions. It's the opium of the people. So he's saying that religion, and when people are in a very low point, when there's low points, instead of it being what it's supposed to do, it gets sold to them as this like fake comfort of this fake of like, oh, things will get better.
It's like a sedation.
It's like a sedation. And to me, it's like, well, you can clearly see it, because it's like the world fucking sucks right now.
Yeah.
The country fucking sucks right now. Of course, people are going to want hope and faith and feel like they're in control and feel like the right thing is going to happen. Justice is going to take place. The divine justice is going to take place. So
yeah, I'm telling you, it's just Gen Z men are victim to the biggest pyramid scheme in history.
Yeah, no, for sure. I completely agree. And I think it's like, yeah, it's just unfortunate, man. Like, because it just sucks to see like all the propaganda going on. Because I think about like, I hope that in the future things will be like, I don't think you can stop progress. I think progress is progress, right? And what upsets me is I can already smell but we didn't know it was
the backpedaling.
We didn't know it was wrong. Like, you have to like judge people based on what they knew at the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, everybody has been telling you that this is wrong. It also I wonder if that whole like judge people from what they do, it probably is like a white propaganda lie. Because I'm like, in retrospect, I feel like all the negative things that happen in history, there was a group of people on the other side being like, we think this is wrong. And at the time, people would be like, oh, they're liars, they're this and that. Because you think about like in the 50s, like McCarthyism, where everybody was like, communism is big and scary. It's because it opposes capitalism, the capitalist society that we live in, right? Yeah. And that reminds me, I think it also, part of that pyramid scheme that you're talking about is, I think he sold a lot of people on the fact that they're victims. Like, these young men, there's a war on you. Yeah. Like, you're a victim. Like, they're trying to oppress you. Like,
they're trying to take your masculinity away from you.
Yeah. And I think I think to me, it's like, like it's troubling. It's scary.
Yeah,
it's
because like in an age of progress, what it clearly is that they're not taking away masculinity; they're shedding toxic masculinity. But if you tell somebody who's a growing mind, young, that you sell them this lie that it's just masculinity, period, it's easily believable because toxic masculinity has been tied to men for hundreds of years since basically humanity started. So it's an easy lie to consume because you're like, oh yeah, like all these things that they're trying to stop, that's what makes you a man. But it's not true.
Yeah.
Those are bad things for you.
Yeah.
They're bad not only for the women, but they're bad for other men. Like I was telling you guys before the show, suicide rates. Like that's literally why men kill themselves. Yeah. Because they conform to the gender role. They conform to the gender role.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I think it's like, I think that too is like, because I think when I was young, or like if I'm trying to remember like being 15 and when he first started showing up, I don't know, like maybe I missed it, or I was too young to see like the true complexity of things. But you always kind of figured, or at least from my perspective, that this was kind of like a minority thinking. Like not that many people thought like this. Yeah. Like hardly anybody thinks like this. And I think even now still with a lot of the red pill or like anti-woke culture, anti-progress really, or conservative things is that they're in the minority. Nobody else thinks like them. It's illegal to think like that. Like they're telling you like you just can't have an opinion nowadays. Yeah. You're not allowed to think like that. And again, another lie, because I'm like, if that were true, he wouldn't have gotten into office. Yeah. He won the popular vote. The media loves that guy, dude. The biggest podcast on the planet, I don't know if he is anymore, but he's like number 2, right? He endorsed him. Like, how is that a minority thinking? Yeah. How is that like a rare thought? And you see these people platforming all these people who have this opinion, or they'll say like, oh, they're canceling things. Elon Musk, it's like they wanted to make comedy illegal. Bro, you know how many comedians I've seen open up with that line of like, I thought I was canceled. I thought you couldn't make jokes anymore. Like 15 comedians. Well, that's their entire shtick of they tried to cancel me, but I'm too smart. Like they just couldn't. Well, the reality of it is nobody was taking away your ability to speak. Yeah. People just were like, I don't think that's.
People continue to push this lie.
Yeah, that it's a minority thing. Or
they continue to push Trump's pyramid scheme that he started in like 2016.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, it's saddening. Because I don't know, I really thought like, oh man, like our generation is gonna break the cycle. We're gonna break the chain. It's over with us.
I also thought that too. Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, it's hard. Yeah. Millennial, Gen Z. Whatever. But I feel like for at least growing up, I always had this mentality that I thought things would be different, at least for our generation, where we'd be like, no, I think we've learned to like not give in to, like gender roles, or not give into like the social norms of things, and actually be more outspoken about, feelings or anything. But I guess to see that, it is very disappointing, but I more feel for women, because I feel like the ones who are being more affected by all these things are women. And you can see that even in the women like community, that there's a lot of shifts that are happening due to the fact of what's heavily going on. Yeah. And I mostly just feel for them, and just in that like it just seems very like unfair, because it just seems like everything is just attacking you.
Well, I also wanted to say too is that I think what also contributed to it was all the older generations hating on Gen Z. Yeah. Calling us lazy, cowards, snowflakes, not real men. I think you hear that enough, there's gonna be people who will be like, no, I'm not. Yeah. Like, I'm not like that. I'm not like one of them. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. I'm not like one of them. Like, I'm not like one of them. I don't care. I'm not
sensitive. Yeah.
I'm not sensitive. I'm like you guys. I'm heartless and cold and mean and racist. I'm like you guys. I
think it's like, people's pride, their ego, it's being under attack. So like, for the most part, they'll be like, no, I'm going to prove you wrong, that I'm not this person that you think I am.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, to me too, like, I think the most thing I feel about this is frustration. Yeah. Like, cause I just don't think history ever looks back kindly on these people. And I think if you pick up any history book, you can see it. You know what I mean? Like
I guess the other part of it is that when it does get looked back on, it just feels like there was never any consequences to them.
Yeah.
The people who were on the wrong side of everything, they just, they just like slide off. Like, that's it. Like,
oh, no,
I'm sure for some people, for sure not everybody's probably gonna get their comeuppance.
Yeah.
That I think some people for sure will, though.
No, for sure. Like, but I do think it's a valid, like, because I feel that way all the time of like, man, I hope in like 50 years, however long it takes, I hope when it finally, the truth is like widely accepted. And
are you gonna be like, I told you so?
No, I really hope that all these people who thought this way, pushed it, who fought against like rights, who fought against, all these things. No, like, don't switch up now. Like, you swore up and down. Like, this was the way to go.
Stand on business.
Yeah.
Some of them won't. Some of them won't switch up.
They won't. But I think I know that. I don't know. Like, I think I think of even the like strange scenarios, right? Like, you look at a Disney movie from the 50s, right? Good God, hard watch. Or like a Looney Tunes thing from the 50s. Like I told you about how they had Bugs Bunny pretend to be a slave, and then he comes back as Abraham Lincoln. I guarantee you, during that time, there's people in there who know that was wrong. Like, you shouldn't be making fun of these communities. You shouldn't be caricaturizing them. There was people advocating for their civil rights, and these companies went ahead and did it anyway because they were like, I mean, like, who gives a fuck? Like, we're not gonna do anything, and they still do that now. Yeah. They still do that now. They refuse to show any representation of people who are real. They backpedal. Like with Star Wars, right? How what's his name? I didn't watch Star Wars. Finn. How he was originally supposed to be the main character. About he says it, the actor John Boyega, but Disney didn't want a black lead, so they backpedal. Or like how in other countries he's not even in the posters, or they cover his face. Yeah, you know what I mean?
And they do that into a lot of movies.
They do that all the time. They did that to Black Panther, where they covered his face, and the whole point of that movie is supposed to be like a black empowerment. It takes place in Africa. Like, what do you like? I'm appalled that even happens. Yeah. And to me, I'm just like, and it's shocking because people know it's wrong. Like, people know it's wrong. People are so vocal about how wrong it is. These companies have to know that it's wrong. Yeah. And then, like you said, I feel that frustration of in the future they're gonna be like, well, it was the times. Nobody knew. Like, we sorry.
Do you think then you can hold off the argument that people change? Because you know how that's currently happened a lot, where people were like, they said something in their past, but now, I don't know, they learned or whatever, and now like
I think people can change.
They can change.
I think people can change, but I think a lot of the people who say that don't say that and don't change. Like Disney, right? They'll in the same breath condemn how was it Fantasia where they made like a grotesque caricature of a black person. It was the horses. Do you remember where they had the horses? They're like Pegasuses, and then they had a black they're like centaurs, and they made it basically like a horrible caricature. Or even the Song of the South, the one that they just replaced with the Disney Princess and the Frog, because that's what that ride was, the Song of the South. If you watch some of the Song of the South moments, yikes, man. And they'll say like, oh, like the times are different, we've changed, like we understand this and that, but they immediately walk back on all the stuff as soon as the dominant like perception of things is to be conservative or to be pro-white or like all these things. And I'm like, it's frustrating because it's
I guess to me, I see it like, I don't know if about a direct comeuppance, but like, you know how I keep calling it like the ultimate pyramid scheme?
No, yeah. But I don't mean it in the sense of like, I want their comeuppance. I'm more just in the saying of like how Julie said, can people change? I'm like, yeah, they can change. But I think it's unfortunate that people like that, in this case, the example is a company, will say like, we can change. And then they just won't. Like, and that's, I think, the frustrating part. Or like, the remember they made that cartoon where where Donald Duck is a Nazi, Ductators, and all the ducks are like Nazis and stuff like that. That's what I mean. Where it's like, yeah, I think people can absolutely change, but do they on a regular basis? I don't think so.
No, for sure,
I'd say
it's rare.
It's rare. You know?
It's rare for sure. I speaking more on the sense of like when people obviously, whenever how long it takes, history kind of aligns more with like we look back at this era that we're living in it
Yeah.
and cringe and or like, oh, let's like never go back to that. I think of come up is happening because the same way I call it a pyramid scheme, the way a regular small pyramid scheme happens, people who believe that wholeheartedly. Like, do you remember Forex?
Forex? No.
Do you remember Forex? Do you know what Forex is? I'll break it down for a second. An actual pyramid scheme that took Gen Z, like men and women, for a loop. It's called Forex. You guys should look it up.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you guys didn't hear it. Maybe you guys knew people who were in it.
You guys should sign me up. You guys should sign up and say that I recommended you.
Yeah, it's basically what it is the whole thing. They sell you that they're gonna make you rich. You have to like basically put in money, your own
Yeah.
money first to do like a starter class,
Yeah.
and then your boss is always like a rich guy. He has like a Lamborghini outside,
Yeah.
and I knew a couple of dudes who did it. Obviously a scheme, obviously a scam. In the same way that their comeuppance for going so hardcore for it was that they just wasted their time, wasted their money, and got nowhere and basically embarrassed. I think the same way the pyramid scheme of all these people who believe all this prejudice, misogynistic bullshit. I think that they're getting scammed at the end of the day, and when you
Yeah.
get scammed, you end up losing. So
I
at the end of the day,
don't.
they're gonna
I
lose.
personally just don't think I'm gonna let it slide.
Yeah.
Like if I knew in this time that you were that person,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna continue to believe that you're that person until
Mhm.
you fully prove me wrong that
Yeah.
you're not that person. anymore.
Yeah, I think it's a scam. Like I
Yeah.
think so. It's full well. Like I think that's another thing that they lose out on. People will look at
I'ma
them and
hold a
remember
grudge.
them. Yeah, that's why.
I'm hold a grudge.
And you won't be the only one. They're
Yeah.
gonna
Validly
they're gonna
so.
get old,
Well,
and
'cause,
people are gonna
like-
remember. I remember you.
Yeah.
Because like for me, like I still even do it now where I'm like, I'm gonna remember you and I'm gonna be like, if there ever is an opportunity where we get to work together,
Yeah.
I'm not letting you in.
Yeah.
Like I remember what you did and I
Yeah.
remember
Mhm.
how you like what you stood up for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what you said was very wrong. And I think you deserve what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100% agree.
exactly.
No, yeah, and like I said, I feel people's frustration. Like I brought up the Dallas Cowboys, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, dude. What a fucking psycho that guy is, man.
Mhm.
How he's in the picture where they're trying to desegregate schools and he's
Mhm.
fighting against it,
Mhm.
and yet that guy gets to run a football team. Good God, man.
Mhm.
I just think we gotta. I saw somebody say that like after this is all over, hopefully we can't just let we have to implement the what is it, the paradox of tolerance, whatever it is. I brought it up before, but I forgot what the proper name for it. We can't just let people just keep thinking this because I think it enables intolerance.
Yeah.
I think we've enabled intolerance for too long, and I think that has to stop. So hopefully, I guess it's not gonna be Gen Z. I hope maybe we have a babyface turn, but I hope Gen Sigma. I genuinely think it is.
It
That
is.
when they-
I think it
that-
is.
Sigma or Alpha. Gen Alpha.
that when they
Gen Beta.
that when they
too.
say those
Yeah.
outlandish things that they actually get like
I just hope the next, like I've said it before, I really hope I've always been against hating on newer generations. I think it's a cycle that is toxic, is horrible for society in any aspect. And so I've always been like, we should embrace Gen Alpha, Gen Beta, Gen Sigma, whatever
I
they
think
are.
it's Gen Beta.
Yeah, I really think we should embrace them and uplift them. And I really hope that they hold our generation accountable.
Real.
Like I know
Valid.
I really do. Like, I know maybe it might seem ugly, but I really do. They hold our generation accountable.
And I mean, now it would be a lot easier to hold people accountable because everybody's on the internet.
Yeah.
And so, like, they'll
can see their
eventually find it.
posts.
Yeah.
They'll see your post.
Yeah, it's like, hey.
They'll remember you.
Let's see them reposting Andrew Tate and shit.
Yeah, and be like, he was real for the, you know?
I got screenshots.
Yeah. You know?
I
there you go.
screenshot everything. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to remember what you
Yeah.
posted.
Yeah. I think that's a good place to end
Yeah.
off on.
Yeah, so
It's
if you're
just to say that whatever is done in the dark will find a way to shine.
just remember, if you're watching this in 20 years, not everything was cool. We knew, there's people out here who knew that this shit was wrong. You know, I drove past a protest in Pasadena the other day. I didn't even know what was happening. It was a pro LGBT protest. And I was like, oh,
There's
shit.
one happening by your house, dude. I
I didn't even see.
was in the area. I won't give away because
Yeah.
I'll give away too much information.
Yeah.
But I was in the area.
Yeah.
It happened yesterday, and
Yeah.
it was cool. I was like beeping along with them.
Yeah.
They had like anti-Elon, Trump.
Oh yeah, but then there was also on the other side of the street a bunch of boomers like you know how the boomer phone hold, how they're always like the boomer phone hold. They were doing
That's
that,
funny.
being like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
somebody do something."
Yeah, but I guess when
Yeah.
you guys look back on this, know that not everything was cool, but in this classroom, everything is cool. That's why we're called TODO CHIDO.
That's why we're called ruck fools. Yeah. But thank you guys for watching. We really hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, it was a cool, nice episode.
Before I send everybody off, I gotta do a shout out to our patrons. Shout out to Yoel, Ila Quintero, I Am Potato Tot, Stephen Carvajal, Carla Corazon, and Altadena Will Rebuild.
And it will.
We really greatly appreciate your guys' patronage. It means a lot to us. It really helps us out. If anybody watching, if you like our videos and you're able to, and you want to know how you can help us and support us, Patreon is a great way to do so. Our link is always in the description. Again, thank you so much for watching. We really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.